Welcome to the very first episode of Inside Advisors Minds. This is the new name, the rebrand, if you will, for Talking Shop. As you're going to see here in the next couple of days, I'm launching a new website, justincastelli.io, that is more geared towards financial advisors. And I feel like the title Talking Shop is a better name for conversations amongst advisors for advisors. And I thought that this All About Your Benjamins is really geared towards my clients and the public in general. And it's really not about me talking shop with advisors for you to learn. It's more about let's get inside the minds of advisors of what we want to see our clients doing, what we're thinking, and why we do it. So Inside Advisors' Minds is the new title for these series. And today I'm at the XYPN Network Meet-Up in Indianapolis. So there's a handful of us here. And I asked everybody the same question, which was, going into 2020, what's the one thing you want to see your clients or the public in general focusing on? And you're going to hear that question a lot, just because I'm not going to edit it all out. So you're going to get a bunch of good answers here. One thing you're going to notice is they are all bigger picture items, meaning it's not so much investing or things that are kind of out of our control. It's more mindfulness, it's more behavioral things, which obviously makes a lot more sense from a financial advisor standpoint. And hopefully as a client or a not a financial advisor, you start to understand why we harp on that so much. And I think it's only fair that I answer the question as well. Usually I don't. I want to make these videos about the other advisors, but I do have something I want to see people focusing more on going into 2020. It's something that I'm going to be focusing on more with my clients. I just sent out the email to my young professional clients who I'll see in January and February, and encourage them to take a look at a podcast episode I did with George Kinder. We talked about life planning. I really want people to focus on aligning their values with their money, and that's the premise behind life planning. But what that means is making sure that the way you're spending your money and living your life aligns with your values. So for me, family is a big thing, health is a big thing. So am I spending my dollars and preparing for the future that allows me to live a life that is aligned with those values? And a lot of us aren't. So how do you go back about changing your plan to be able to do that? That's what I want people to focus on. And I think the first step, and the one that's the hardest step, is to actually figure out what you value most. What I've realized is a lot of people don't know that, and it's something that we don't really think about a lot. We know we want to focus on retirement and college and those normal goals, but we don't really think about what makes us tick, what is the most valuable things in our lives, what would make us happy. So my friend Kay, he says, if you have $1 billion, what would your next 5 years look like? What would it look like? And that is where you start to figure out what you value most, and then you can take that life that you want to live and start to align it with your money and figure out how you tweak your planning to that. So my challenge to everybody, and I'm going to be doing this with my clients, they know it's coming, is how are we building lives that allow us to live the life that we want? Financially, do what we're doing with our money, do our dollars align with our values? And if not, how do we fix that? So that is my answer. With that, let's get to the rest of the group. Some great answers here, some friends of mine, a couple of people I met for the first time. If you're watching this on YouTube, down in the comment or the description area, we'll have links to all of those individuals. If you're watching this on All About Your Benjamins, show notes will have all of their profiles where you can find them and reach out to them if any of them seem like an advisor that's right for you. So with that, let's get to the very first episode of Inside Advisors' Mind. Welcome to the inaugural issue, or I guess episode I should say, of Inside Advisors' Mind. I've got my friend Doug Rotman here. We are at the XYPN Network Meet-Up for the Indianapolis crew, and I gave everybody a heads up. You did not see it till you got here, so this is going to be off the top of your head. But I want everybody that's here tonight to share with everybody watching what's the one thing that you want to see, either your clients or just individuals in general, focus on financially going into 2020. So what's your one thing for your clients and or individuals?
Well, it's actually kind of something that I want them to not focus on for 2020.
Okay.
Because we're going to come up on an election year, and it's going to be a crazy news cycle. And because of that, the markets are going to go kind of crazy at times. You are going to hear Fox News and MSNBC and CNN be all over the place on what's going on. And it's probably going to move the markets at times too. And it'll depend on who the Democratic candidate ends up being and all these kinds of things. But if we're looking at 20 years, 30 years, 40 years down the road, it's probably not going to matter that much to your goals as to what what happens next year. It matters, but it doesn't matter that much. So I would say I want people to not focus on who does win or does not win the election. Because I think you can lose a lot of sleep, you can lose a lot of time worrying about that when you could be working on things you can't control instead. So that's what I would say.
So you're going to bring politics up in the very first video.
Absolutely.
Politics. Don't talk about religion. Don't talk about politics. Doug wants to talk politics. No, I love it. I think it's true. And I would also add on to that, like all this impeachment nonsense. I had my first email today from a client asking about the impeachment. And I was in New York a couple weeks ago. And humble brag here, I got to meet Art Cashin. I don't know if you watch CNBC at all, but Art Cashin's a legend on Wall Street. We saw him over at dinner, and the group that I was with, we asked him, like, is anybody paying attention? Like, what was it like when Nixon was going through the impeachment process versus now? And he said, like, nobody's paying attention to it, like, as far as traders go.
Yeah.
So the impeachment process and whatever's going on, the procedures, I guess, is not moving the markets. So if it's not moving the markets and the traders don't worry about it, then us long-term investors, we shouldn't worry about it either. So I would agree. I like that you flipped the script on my question. You didn't answer with what I wanted. You went with the other way. But it's a great answer. So real quick before I let you go, plug your company, plug your social media. So anybody out there that likes that answer and might want to find you, they can find you.
Yep, Doug Rotman. It's True Wealth Stewards is the new company.
Okay.
We just launched officially September 30th of this year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Been in the business for 19 years now, hard to believe, but...
So fun fact before Doug does go, we had a short stint overlapping at the same company. So I've talked about it before, part of my career path was working at a 403B company, and as I was coming on, Doug was on his way out, and I actually took over a couple of his schools while he left. They didn't miss you. Totally kidding.
I don't miss you now.
They probably don't. Fair enough. All right, man. Hey, I know you got the family to get home to, that's why I grabbed you real quick. But great answer. Don't focus on the news cycle, especially around the election, because it doesn't impact your long-term plan. Go back over history and look at election years. Maybe there's some turbulence, but when you move that lens further out, you can't even tell. So, Doug, I appreciate it. Go follow him, and we'll move on to the next person here in a little bit. All right, this is a non-stranger to the show. Actually, we recorded a talking shop not too long ago.
Yeah, it was right before Thanksgiving.
So this now is Inside Advisor's Mind. I told you I was going to change it up. So this is the second episode of Inside Advisor's Mind. Got my good friend Isaiah Douglas, beard game looking strong, making me jealous. So what is the one thing that you want either your clients or just individuals in general to focus on going into 2020 when it comes to their finances?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to focus on and think about that anyone out there can look at, regardless of investable assets, where they're at in life, is employer benefits. I think it's really overlooked from the standpoint of so much can be gained if they really take time to look at it. A lot of times people will just say, same as last year, same as last year, same as last year.
It's easy that way.
And there's changes from year to year where I think taking the time to review it and maybe understand that is really impactful. So I would say check out employer benefits as you renew. I know some people in the fall will just be renewing, but a lot of stuff happens at the turn of the year. So that's what I'd look for.
What's the one employee benefit you think most people mess up?
I think there's a lot of group insurance that's super cheap that people should look at and get. I'm obviously a big fan of HSAs and using that if you have the income and the cash flow to make it work. A retirement vehicle and doing some cool things there. Also lowers the tax bill that someone might be paying, especially if they're in a high income household. But yeah, I would say the insurance piece is reviewing that and making sure that, especially if you're not going to the doctor, HSA is great. Keep that money.
All right, so everybody should know where to find you, but tell them company name, social media, where can they find you?
ID Financial Planning and Wealth Management, super uncreative from that standpoint. ID Financial on Twitter, Isaiah Douglas on LinkedIn. That's where you can find me. Growing Your Net Worth is the blog and content site. Dentists and veterinarians is what I do.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to make sure if you ain't a dentist and you ain't a vet, look elsewhere.
I'm happy. Hey,
I'm kidding.
No. My thing too is seeing the standard of care in the industry raised, and I've had a lot of different conversations recently telling people like, hey, come to me and I'll help you find a really good advisor. It doesn't have to be me, and I'm happy to do it. So
we need more good guys like you out there. All right, Isaiah, we will let you get going, and we'll wrap this one up. So that's another episode. We'll be back with another person here pretty soon. Cool. All right, yet another familiar face. I started to go on this path with Isaiah, but I forgot his last video actually was for Talking Shop. But our last video was dubbed Talking Shop, but actually was the initial Inside Advisor's Mind. I just forgot to say that on video.
Okay.
This is the third clip into the new category of videos, Inside Advisor's Mind. Good friend Russ Ford here. You've seen him before talk about the advisor growth community. We talked about your unique business model of only wanting 40 clients. But today we're going to talk about what do you want those 40 clients or just people in general to focus on going into 2020 when it comes to finances.
Let me back up and say, so basically what you're saying is I was partially responsible for helping find Inside an Advisor's Mind.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, okay.
I'll find you in the footnotes
You're welcome.
somewhere. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing to focus on, really it's something that I'm focusing on personally that I'm great at coaching others to do, but not always great at acting out myself. And that's really having awareness around my thought patterns with spending money, what my actual behavior is with spending money. I'm not even necessarily talking about doing the dirty word that is budgeting and that everyone is afraid of, or judging yourself for spending, but it's just being aware of what you're spending and knowing what you're spending and going forward using that knowledge to go where you want with. It's not saying, oh, I did bad and I'm a terrible person, but I think the more awareness you can create with how you're thinking about your money and how you and your spouse are talking about money, the better off you'll be.
So give viewers an actual item, like what's a good way to not have to budget, but to monitor and be aware of spending? What's a good way to do that?
There's countless different ways, I'd say. I mean, even if it's once a month, just going into some online tool, whether it's a free one like Mint or something like that, and looking back at the last month and saying, okay, here's what we spent, and talking about it, right? And or even less technology-driven things like somebody, I can't remember who, but it's not my idea originally, came up with the idea of tracking the number of swipes you have, like in a week, right? Like literally keeping a tally on the phone every time you swipe your card. Okay. How many times did I swipe this week, right? And how do you feel about that? How many times are you swiping without thinking about it, right?
That's the key right there is the not thinking part or not actually swiping.
Yeah.
So one of the best things companies did for them, worse for us, was make the one touch not even swipe.
So you got to count that. When I say swiping these days,
but it's easy to forget.
Every time you click.
So go in and disconnect your card from Amazon. So every time you go to buy something, you have to punch it in.
Right, and then you can mark on your phone.
Yep.
Exactly. So the more times you have to think and there's even just a barrier, and I'm not even necessarily talking about changing your behavior yet, just realizing what you're doing, right? And I'm bad at it just as much as anybody is plenty of times, unless I take the time to be intentional about it. So, and I would say another one is just even, you can use a good old-fashioned bank statement and tally up the income that's come in and the expenses that have gone out and go from there. Anything you can do.
We can break our checkbooks out. We can balance our checkbook every week.
I mean, some people are pen and paper people, right? But yeah, I would say creating awareness is the key thing and something I'm going to be working on. I will say my wife and I currently, we actually have some interviews, if you will, scheduled with a few different financial advisors for ourselves to hire one, just because we want to be able to have a third party keep us accountable to the things that I know to do, but I'm a human just like anybody else. So I think we all need a third party in the room to help us think clearly.
Sounds good. Awareness is the key. All right, Russ, where can they find you? Firm name, social media.
Yeah, Wayfinder Financial, at Russ Ford online on Twitter, Wayfinder Financial on Instagram and Facebook. Russ at wayfinderfinancial.com. You can always shoot me an email, and happy to help any way I can.
Sounds good. He's capping it at 40, so get with him quick. All right, Russ, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Justin.
We'll talk to you later on, man. All right, so we have a rookie to the camera right now. I got my friend Thomas here. Thomas, what is the one thing that you want your clients or just individuals in general to think about and focus on financially going into 2020?
Yeah, so I mean, to give a little background, my entire client base right now is millennials, and so a big thing that I see millennials struggle with is like spending and behavioral habits. So what I'm trying to work with my clients on, and what I think would be a good thing for most millennials to work on, is just sitting down and prioritizing the goals that they have, and then just sitting and start to think of like the spending habits they have and the large travel trips and the other things of like, is this actually getting us to where we want? Is this aligned with our values? Because I just see too many times clients come in with $5,000, $10,000 to $10,000 of credit card debt, and you look back and say, hey, what was this about? And it's usually bad spending habits that aren't even tied to the goals and the values that they mention are important to them.
So there's a reason I smiled real big when you said that. Who is the person that brought you to this gathering?
Yeah, so Russ brought me to it.
So Russ's answers was kind of the similar as being aware of what you're spending. So different answer, but same general area, which obviously means that's good advice, that people need to be mindful of it. But I just thought it was funny that you and Russ had very similar answers. You guys are
Russ is a good guy, one of my mentors, so hopefully I guess our viewpoints are aligned.
Don't let him see that on video and let his head get big. Don't let him know that. No, Russ is a good guy. And you and I had a chance to connect over some pizza and a drink, and really enjoyed talking to you as well. And I think that for a young advisor, you have your head on right. You're going about things the right way. Maybe in the future we'll see you more present on social media and stuff if your firm eventually lets you do that. Yeah. But I definitely think that with advisors like you coming up in the profession, like our profession is going to be in good hands. The crazy thing is I look at you and I think I'm not much older than him, but you're how old?
24.
You're 24. 37. Yet I feel like I'm like you and I could be the same age, could be friends. So
yeah, we can still hang out.
Yeah, exactly. So when I look at people like you and Russ and Isaiah, who was on earlier, and see advisors like that, I have no worries that the masses are going to be taken care of, and actually that I think financial planning is in better hands because you said your demographic that you work with are young professionals who were never worked with before. So our profession is in good hands. So I'm glad we got a chance to connect. I'm sure we'll connect more offline in the future. But thanks for giving your answer. Where can they find you? Social media, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. It's just Thomas Kopelman. That's K-O-P.
I'll have a link to it. I'll link to it in the blog post.
Yeah, and then Facebook, I have my own Facebook page. So if you just add me on Facebook, I'll invite you to my business page.
Sounds good. All right. Well, I will let you get back to the group, and we'll get to the next person here. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we are just moving along with Inside the Advisor's Mind. We've got Trevor here. Trevor, what is one thing that you want your clients or just people in general to focus on going into 2020?
Yeah, I would say, well, the word intentionality comes to mind.
Okay.
And just an example of that would be cash flow, right? So, tracking that cash flow, where's your cash flow going? Once you know that, you can kind of be intentional with it. So maybe it's all disappearing in one avenue or another, but you can be intentional with it once you know where it's going and put it to uses that will actually pursue goals or things that are more meaningful to you. Okay. So intentionality specifically with cash flow.
I like it. Just like everybody else, none of it really has been investment focused. It's like, because as advisors, and so this video is for clients, as advisors we know it's so much more beyond that. Yeah. That's just a minor piece, and that's so much out of our control that what you're talking about is something that our clients can control and will have a bigger impact on their overall planning as well. So definitely. I'm just glad that we keep on hammering this stuff home, because eventually people are going to listen to us. Yeah. And eventually people will judge financial advisors not based off the portfolios, but based off of, is my advisor helping me lead an intentional life with my money, helping me figure out what that looks like. So I think it's a great answer. I know you were not excited about doing it, a little nervous. You did great. Answer was awesome. This is not getting cut out. So Trevor, where can everybody find you? Social media, firm name, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so the firm name is Sycamore Financial. It's SYCO, Sycamore Financial.
I'll link to it.
All right, perfect. And so you can just find me, if you go to my website, sycamorefinancial.com, it's probably the best way to reach out and do that.
All right, I will have it on the show notes, both on the blog and on YouTube, so people can find you to reach out to you.